623, 13 December 2020. Bit of news. Part 3. This looks like it might be a 4 or 5 parter, so I don't have these videos go so long. So, Chinese military bases in the Caribbean. This is from Zero Hedge, Tyler Durden. Thursday, December 10, 2020 at 22:20 in the evening. China's Communist Party, CCP, seems to be implementing a multidimensional strategy in the Caribbean, reaping economic, political, and potentially military gains a few miles offshore the United States. Yes, the Belts and Roads Initiative. China's ultimate objective of the Caribbean strategy may well be to confront the U.S. not only with its presence near the mainland U.S., but also with a situation analogous to America's military presence in the region of the South China Sea. There, China created new islands in the sea, pledged not to militarize them, and then they militarized them, because why wouldn't they? The CCP leadership has also been launching a diplomatic effort in the Caribbean with the goal of delegitimizing the state of Taiwan while encouraging regional countries to open relations with the People's Republic of China, or the PRC. Not the PRC, which is the People's Republic of California, but their ideological head, the PRC, People's Republic of China. Chinese shipments of military and police equipment to several Caribbean states could be developing into beachheads for future People's Liberation Army, or PLA, advisory groups in the Western Hemisphere. China's construction projects already include the modernization of airports and seaports, which could increase Chinese geopolitical and military influence in the region. Chinese Defense Minister Wei Fenghe already is on record expressing China's willingness to deepen military cooperation with Caribbean countries. Additionally, China has been investing considerable revenue in the economies of the hemisphere's anti-American Caribbean socialist states, Cuba and Venezuela. You know, the ones that the Democratic Party fawns over. Much of Hollywood and the elitist, establishment intelligentsia fawn over. Yes. The presumptive new administration fawns over, because it's not the United States. China's establishment of a Korean, interesting slip. China's establishment of a Caribbean Belt and Road sector is an opportunity for CCP intelligence operatives to suborn the sovereignty of Caribbean countries by luring these societies into debt trap economic dependency on China. In Sri Lanka, for instance, the country's inability to pay back its Chinese creditors for Beijing's modernization of the port of Hambantota has resulted in the South Asian country's effective loss of the port. Remember when it was that we had the Port of Los Angeles that was effectively given to the Chinese until this current administration said essentially, what in God's name are you doing? And reversed it. With the presumptive incoming administration, I'm predicting they're going to give the port right back to China. China's Caribbean offensive so far includes a medical diplomacy initiative that's providing Latin America, but especially the region's island states, with face masks, personal protective gowns and gloves, ventilators, ambulances, and pharmaceuticals. This May, China convened a video link conference on the COVID-19 virus with the vice ministerial level at the vice ministerial level with the 9 Caribbean countries that have diplomatic relations with Beijing. Did you know there were 9 different Caribbean countries that had diplomatic relations with Beijing? They would be Antigua, Barbuda, Barbados, the Bahamas, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago. China's dominant role as a world leader in the production of pharmaceuticals and medical devices is, as presumably intended, enabling the Chinese to garner considerable goodwill in the region. China has already delivered 30,000 virus test kits to Jamaica and at least 100,000 protective masks to Cuba, as well as about 100 ventilators to the Dominican Republic. China has also built hospitals in Dominica, St. Kitts, Barbados, and Trinidad, as well as a children's hospital in Jamaica. Throughout the COVID-19 virus epidemic, China has also donated medical supplies to around 15 Caribbean states. Chinese investors are plowing millions of dollars into tourist-oriented construction projects. China's state-supported construction enterprises are building hotel resorts in the Bahamas, Guyana, and Barbados. Of more concern to U.S. security interests is the ongoing seaport expansion project in the already commercially important port of Kingston, Jamaica, as well as the port of Freeport, Bahamas. China's possible new base of operations 90 miles off the U.S. coast. Other Chinese-sponsored port projects are underway at Cuba's ports of Santiago and Mariel, as well as Guyana's port of Berbice. Berbice? B-E-R-B-I-C-E. French, Berbice? It's Italian. Continuing. Another Chinese construction project that deserves scrutiny for its implications for U.S. national security is China's modernization of Guyana's Chedijagan International Airport. Once the site of U.S. Air Force military operations during World War II, with its runway of over 10,000 feet, it is capable of hosting Chinese military jet aircraft. However, disagreements over the terms of the original contract signed in 2011 are a source of tension between the Chinese contractor and the usually pro-Chinese Guyanese government. China also has an interest in regional access to raw materials such as bauxite from Jamaica and offshore oil near Guyana. The Chinese regime is effectively employing soft power by way of propagating anti-U.S. diplomacy through China's regional ambassadors and Confucius Institutes. Particularly active in this region is Liu Quan, China's ambassador to Suriname. China's propaganda arm has established approximately 10 of its 45 pro-communist Confucius Institutes in the region, in Antigua and Barbuda, Suriname, the Bahamas, Barbados, Cuba, Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and Venezuela. These institutes propagate the same ideological pro-Chinese Communist Party anti-Taiwan line. Additionally, the Confucius Institute in Suriname, home to the largest number of overseas Chinese of any country in the region, may also be attempting to recruit agents. In 2018, the Dominican Republic revoked its diplomatic ties to Taiwan, presumably to take advantage of the economic opportunities that relations with China might bring. Well, if they're not actually paying attention to what's going on economically with China in the region, something my mom taught me a long time ago, it's a Latin phrase, caveat emptor, buyer beware. It used to be posted. I actually saw that posted in various, stores. Caveat emptor, buyer beware, buyer beware. Well, in this case, this is something I might actually say to the Dominican Republic when dealing with China is definitely caveat emptor, Dominican Republic. China's military agenda in the Caribbean region includes the People's Liberation Army Air Force, which has donated Chinese Y-12 transport aircraft to Guyana. PLA military aid continues to arrive in Jamaica. Chinese-produced motorcycles have been exported to West Indian police forces in Trinidad and Tobago and police cars to Guyana. Moreover, selected military officers from virtually every Caribbean country continue to receive training at Chinese military academies. Were China to establish a beachhead in the Caribbean, the U.S. could be faced with a dark replay of the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. You know, not even the Soviets had this much reach into the Caribbean. This is astounding. China could insist that the U.S. reduce or entirely withdraw its considerable military force in the Western Pacific Ocean in exchange for a drawdown of PLA assets in the Caribbean, or any other bargain it dreamed up. U.S. policymakers need seriously to address Communist China's aggressive expansionist policies in the Caribbean. The U.S. should not permit the PLA Air Force or the PLA Navy to establish bases that could interfere with American freedom of navigation, both for commerce and for military convoys resupplying NATO allies in the event of a military crisis. The U.S. can ill afford any Chinese drive to place under threat any Western Hemisphere country, much less the United States. I'm going to cut this video off here because that was 11 minutes and 42 seconds. So, all right, 623 out. I'm going to do the next one.